Holy shit, I still can't believe the Raiders won. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report. You're watching Overreaction Monday after the Raiders 26-23 comeback from behind win against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 2. What you're going to see coming up here on today's show is we're going to be discussing the top trending topics around the silver and black. And yes, it is either going to be a believe it baby or it is going to be an overreaction. The first thing that we're going to be bringing up here is, can the Raiders make the playoffs? And I know that that's a crazy word. And quite frankly, after 7 quarters of football going into that final fourth quarter against the Ravens, I feel like even I would have said this is not a playoff caliber team. But what I love about the NFL, in a snap of a finger, it can change super quickly. And I'm going to say believe it, baby. I believe in the Raiders. The Raiders believe in the Raiders. Antonio Pierce believes in the Raiders. Gardner Minshew, Maxx Crosby, they all said it yesterday. We believe in this team. And you can doubt them. I can doubt them. Heck, even if they wanted to doubt themselves for a second, this was a football team that did not give up. That's what that Antonio Pierce culture is all about. That's what you need to be able to fire up a team that, quite frankly, the offense looked absent for a majority of the game, but they never gave up. And when you have the ability in the NFL to flip that switch and get it going, whether that's Luke Getsy, whether that's Gardner Minshew, because Gardner Minshew went out there and did his thing. Yeah, he had some ups and downs. We'll talk about Maxx Crosby here in a second because that guy's a dog. 30 of 38, 276 yards, a touchdown and an interception. But once he got confidence, and once Getsy showed that he has some confidence in him trying to stretch the ball down the field, Minshew looked like a totally different quarterback. This Raiders offense look like a totally different quarterback. And if the Raiders play football the way that they did in that second half, dropping 20 points on the Baltimore Ravens, I'm not even saying that they might be a playoff caliber team, because I think this is the best defense in the NFL. Week in and week out, they have shown that so far. If you play offense the way that you did, you're going to the playoffs. Now, you might go, you're going to the playoffs if the Raiders play offense the way that they did in that fourth quarter yesterday. So here's my question. We're 1-1 right now on the season. And I want to know from every single person that sounds as shitty as I do right now, how many games will the Raiders win this season? Let me know down in the comment section. Originally, I said 9. I've been between that 9 and 10 number. I'm going to continue to stick with that, because you look around the AFC, that might be enough to get into the playoffs. Let's go to the next story coming up here on Overreaction Monday. Luke Getsy should be trusted. This is still an overreaction. I know how the game ended. I totally get that. And Steves, if you could change the title to that being Monday, that would be great. Hey, you know what? We're waking up too. It was a hell of a day last night. It's still an overreaction to me. And the reason why that I say that is because he's been pretty bad for 7 quarters. And he's been good for 1 quarter. And yeah, that 1 quarter that the Raiders were good, it was really good. I mean, watching the Raiders in that fourth quarter was a lot of fun. Zamir White has struggled a little bit. I don't want to put too much blame on Zeus. I thought he toted the ball well at the end of that game. And, you know, kind of like what Getsy said at the end of the press conference last week, he said that he thought that this offense started to get it going. But we got to be able to run the football more effectively. We can't be a one-dimensional team. I know we have some good pass catchers, but our offensive schemes, they got to just be a little bit more fun and creative. I'm kind of done with the screen passes, the behind the line of scrimmage passes, the amount of balls that were thrown, again, within a 4-yard radius. Last week, Gardner Minshew averaged 4.7 air yards per attempt. You saw when they started stretching the football down the field, things started to happen. So I'm hoping what Getsy, what Antonio Pierce with this entire Raiders offense does, they go, what did we do in the fourth quarter? Let's do that shit every single week. Now, we are 90 subscribers away from hitting 175,000. We had over maybe, I want to say 170,000 people tune into the Raiders Report yesterday. We gained over 2,000 subs. If you don't know who we are the number 1 most watched Raiders channel in the world. Hit that subscribe button if you bleed silver and black. And again, if you walked into work today a little bit happier on a Monday, it's amazing how much easier it is going into work on a Monday after a Raiders win. And even though my voice sounds like I was gargling razor blades from screaming yesterday, it was all worth it because the Raiders won. If you feel that way, subscribe, join the family. Let's go to the next Overreaction Monday. Gardner Minshew should be trusted. There was a point yesterday where I put out on Twitter, I put out on Instagram, I said it live on the show. Is it time to go with Aidan O'Connell? And I said that because when you watch the Raiders offense, it was like something has to change. Not that you're going to put the blame on Gardner, the offensive line couldn't block, but we all got to that point last night that it was like something needed to change. And you know what changed? Luke Getsy growing a pair of nuts and trusting Gardner Minshew to go out there and get it done. He should be trusted. Gardner Minshew is a dog, and you can say what you want. He might not have all the athletic tools. He might not have a lot of the things that some of these other franchise quarterbacks have. But Gardner Minshew has heart. This Raiders football team has heart, and they play for this guy. When Minshew threw that interception late in the first half, everybody was like, oh no, here we go again. This is about to be a very, very ugly game. And then what happened? Minshew walks over to the sideline. Maxx Crosby grabs him by the jersey. It's pointing on his chest. I don't know what Max said. I DM'd Max today, and I was like, bro, what'd you say to Gardner? And I was like, but when Max did that, pointed in the chest to Gardner, spoke nothing but confidence to him. You could even see Gardner when he got done there. He's like, all right, man, I got you. And it was one of those things where it really, I think, gave Minshew the confidence that he needed to say, you know what? I am the Raiders franchise quarterback. I am the right guy for the job. And this is what I'm going to do. And they did that in the second half. A lot of confidence in Minshew. And if you don't have confidence in him, then quite frankly, you didn't watch the fourth quarter. Yeah, you got to be able to put it together next week against Carolina and a game that you got to win, a team where if you are a playoff caliber team, you should go out there and take care of business, no problem. But I believe in Gardner Minshew because the Raiders believe in Gardner Minshew. I got 3 more Overreaction Monday topics here in just a moment, but we got to talk about our sponsor, GameTime. I hope that there were some Raider fans yesterday heckling maybe some Ravens fans at the stadium. And, you know, if you got any tickets, if you want to be able to go to a Raiders game, I hope that you guys know there's one place to go and one place only. That is GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS. That's CHATSPORTS. Download GameTime today. What time is it? It's game time. Some of the things that I love about GameTime are the last-minute tickets and the flash deals. What I personally do, and this is me being real, like if I'm going out to Vegas next week for the Raiders and Carolina game, I'm not going out there. If I was, I would have the Raiders and Panthers game on a tab in Vegas and see, all right, what are some other things that I could potentially do? I'm flying out to Vegas on a Friday. Saturday, I'm sitting around looking for the deals. Sunday, I wake up and then I go, all right, let me go on GameTime and let me see what the best deals are. Right now, they're doing this really cool thing where you can see GameTime picks. Think of it as like if you go shopping or anytime you're on any type of website and what you look for is the best deal, the sale item, that's what you should look for on the GameTime picks. It's just kind of like a curation that makes it easier to save more on, you know, sports, comedy, whatever you'd like to do. So if you want that lowest price guaranteed, if you're trying to scream your head off next week when the Raiders play the Carolina Panthers at home at Allegiant Stadium, download the GameTime app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS. That link's going to be available to y'all in the comments and in the description of today's show. Here we go. Overreaction Monday. I think even though the Raiders won, a good team, a good host, a good fan can still go, we won. And we celebrated the shit last night, and I'm going to keep on riding high until the Raiders play Carolina. But we also have to be able to look ourselves in the mirror and go that this offensive line needs a lot of help, and that is a believe it, baby. If you trust the Raiders offensive line right now, I don't even want to know what your dating life is like. You got some serious, wildly unbelievable trust issues in so many different ways, right? And I say that because Kolton Miller was getting roasted. I don't know how many sacks Miller gave up. I want to say 2, maybe 3. Thayer Munford gave up 2 or maybe 3 sacks. Andres Pete ended up getting benched for Cody Whitehair, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Cody Whitehair helped out the Raiders offensive line get better. Andre James was getting abused. I don't want to know what these PFF grades are going to come out on this Raiders offensive line through 2 weeks of football, but it's probably going to look a lot like my high school report card, which, not good grades in case you were wondering. They can't get the running game going with Zamir. And if you're going to be a physical team that really wants to do a lot of this 12 personnel, a physical team that wants to run a balanced attack, because Minshew's not somebody that I want out there slinging it as much as he is. But then you also got to look at what his completion percentage is. Minshew's doing his job. This Raiders offensive line right now is the Achilles heel of this team. Not anything on defense, not the quarterback. Right now, the biggest problem with the Raiders offensive line, it is the biggest problem with the Raiders is the offensive line. I've been thinking about it so much that I'm starting to go a little bit crazy. And quite frankly, we got to figure it out. I don't know if that's JPJ. I don't know if it's DJ Glaze. I need somebody to go out there and hit somebody, be physical, because right now this offensive line, It's Swiss cheese, man. What's your confidence level in the Raiders O-line right now? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1, you don't have any confidence whatsoever in the line. 10, it's the best offensive line in the NFL. Quite frankly, if anybody answers over 5, I think that you probably give yourself an extra inch or two anyway. I'm going to go with a 3 because that's where I'm at. I know that there's some good players. I know that it's a brand new offensive line coach with James Craig. I know losing Carmen Bracilla was going to hurt. But right now, this Raiders offensive line needs to wake up, and hopefully they get right next week against Carolina. Let's go to the next one here. Maxx Crosby is the best defensive player in the NFL. Every single year, I always say that he deserves the recognition. And I hope if the Raiders win and they make the playoffs, the rest of the NFL world sees how amazing this young man is. This is believe it, baby. He is the best defensive player in the NFL, and I'm going to continue to say it time and time again. In 2 games, he's got 3 sacks. He's got 11 tackles. He leads the NFL in tackles for loss. He's got 5 quarterback hits. He doesn't take plays off, but also what he does, he is the biggest leader on the defensive side of the football in the National Football League. Him grabbing Gardner Minshew is something that you see coaches do, something that you see a true leader, and sometimes leaders, they're not always born. They're not always born that way. Maxx Crosby is the definition of what a Raider is to me. He is somebody that shows up every day. He's somebody that puts it all on the line and does everything in his power to will himself and his team to victory. And I really freaking hope that the Raiders win some games this year so he gets the recognition that he deserves. But he is the best run defensive end in the NFL back-to-back years according to PFF. He has led the NFL in tackles for loss all the way back since 2021. The only number that people can ever bring up where he doesn't get credit like a lot of these other guys. I'm taking Maxx Crosby over Joey Bosa, over Nick Bosa, over Micah Parsons, over Myles Garrett, over TJ Watt, because he does it both at a high level on the running game and going out and getting the passer. And adding Christian Wilkins has really opened up things here for Crosby. He's got 3 sacks. What are people going to say about him now? Because he's the best defensive player in the NFL. If anybody agrees with that, hit that like button. And I want y'all to share that ID on IG. Share it on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. It's going to be a fiery week here at the Raiders Report. Before I get into the final Overreaction Monday topic, I got to give a shout out to my guy Bryce B. My guy had 17 bangs against the Ravens. I called him walking home yesterday, and Bryce and I talked for probably like a good 30, 40 minutes. Got to hear a lot about him, why he does what he does. Anybody that ever bangs on this show, I hope that you know this. And I know when you think about the idea of throwing $100 for a few guys to do a beer bong is crazy, but it's not a few guys. And Bryce was even like, yo, if 100 people out of the 10,000 people are watching, 1% does a beer bong after a Raiders win, that is a legendary thing. We do a lot of crazy shit on this show, but we do it because, to me, Raider Nation is a family. Bryce B believes that, and I got to give my guy some flowers. Let's go to the final thing. Brock Bowers is the truth. Believe it, baby. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. When you watch Brock Bowers out there on the football field, everything that he can do from a route running standpoint, they look to him on third down. He's got sure hands. He's a good blocker. He just moves well. And, I keep on saying it. People were like, well, whatever happened to Hunter Renfrow? Whatever happened to Hunter Renfrow? I think honestly what happened was the Raiders hit the upgrade button, got a bigger, stronger, faster guy, and they just named him Brock Bowers, because everything that Renfrow did 2 years ago with Derek Carr, Brock Bowers is doing it at a much higher level. He's just always open to me. Like, somebody was talking to me the other day about, like, what would you comp him to? And I know I've made the examples of a George Kittle. I've made the examples of some of these other great tight ends in the NFL. I mean, I've said Travis Kelce before, but I think when it's all said and done, we are going to look at Brock Bowers as the best tight end in the National Football League because he's reliable. The team depends on him. Luke Getsy gets him involved, and if you got him in fantasy, he's going to put up some wild numbers this season because, quite frankly, I don't know what the single season record is for most receptions by a rookie tight end. I think it was Sam Laporta last season with 86, if my memory serves me correct. I think that Brock Bowers is going to be in line to potentially break that record because back-to-back weeks, he was the top target getter. Yes, I want to see a little bit more out of there, but Davante Adams, Seeps is giving me the head nod of, yes, it's 86 catches. I think Brock Bowers is going to be on pace to beat that because this offense really, really, truly needs him to get it done. So one more time here, Overreaction Monday. Raiders can make the playoffs. That's believe it, baby. Luke Getsy should be trusted. That one is a little bit of an overreaction. I'm hoping to see more out of him going forward. Gardner Minshew should be trusted. Yes, that's our quarterback. Let's stick by him. He absolutely deserves it after that comeback win. The O-line needs a lot of help. That's another believe it, baby. Right now is the Achilles heel of this team. Maxx Crosby is the best defensive player in the NFL. 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 11 tackles overall. This dude's a stud. And then Brock Bowers is the truth. He is the truth. He is going to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Quite frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if 2-3 years down the road we go, that's the best tight end in the National Football League.